morning. Today is October 17th. We're about to begin our work session. If we could stand for the pledge. Jim, since you're over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm just going to take this quickly out of order. Bring up Chief Hagemiller for a traffic update. He has another meeting to go to, so.
You look very
Thank
fancy.
you. Good
Yes,
morning.
good morning.
Good morning. Trying everything.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're over the hump. So last weekend was a busy weekend with Sunday being the peak day. And I think from here on out, it'll start to lessen, so I think we're in pretty good shape. Still hearing a lot of positive comments. I heard a lot of positive comments at the town board meeting last night, so we're in good shape.
All right, so then we'll set up a debriefing towards the end of November, the beginning of December. We'll call everybody back from the traffic task force and kind of go over what worked, what could maybe be tweaked, and what we could do for the following year, just while it's fresh with everybody.
And I think the Ag Advisory Committee's invited me to one of their meetings. so
Okay, very good.
we'll go for that.
Perfect.
Okay?
All right, thank you very much.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to our next item, which is Calverton Aviation and Technology, EPCAL Development Presentation. Chris, Kent, I will call you up.
Get
or-
my space.
We have chairs here. Good morning. If we need more chairs, we can get them. Hey, Max, how are you? All right, good morning, everybody. We do film our work session, so I'm going to, who would like to start, introduce themselves. We'll start from this end.
Sure, I'm Greg Penza. I'm the CEO and founder of ULC Robotics.
Mike Passaretti, Program Manager, ULC Robotics.
Max Out, founder and CEO at Launcher.
Joe Ambrosio, President and CEO, Unique Electric Solutions.
Christopher Kent from Farrell Fritz,
Okay.
representing Calverton Aviation and Technology.
And did you want to, nobody else is here from,
Now, I want to first start with a little explanation of where we are, and first apologies from 555 and Illuminati. This week, I don't know if you realize, is the Orthodox Jewish faith celebrates a holiday week. It's called Sukkot, referred to as the Feast of the Tabernacles. It's celebrating the harvest. It's a celebration. And if you want to look at, I could tell you more about it, but if you want to
I'm
look
familiar
up-
with it.
Okay, good. So they are not working this week. And one of our companies, a representative who also wanted to be here, is not here also because he's celebrating the holiday.
I just want to mention that you did schedule the holiday. This has been a holiday for several thousand years.
I know.
So I just,
No,
I know.
They scheduled the meeting.
the meeting.
Well, I actually asked them if they wanted me to put it off for one more week, and they said, no, please, go ahead with it. We have companies that are ready to come in, so they wanted me to go ahead with the presentation today. I could have put it over to the 24th. I was gonna call you and see if that would be all right, but they suggested, no, go ahead. Chris, we want you to represent, to be the spokesman for CAT. We have faith in you, and hopefully the board will accept our apologies and listen to what you have to say, because they are doing work, and I'm here to tell you about the work that's being done.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with a little opening statement, and then I'm going to introduce our guests and our companies that are interested in being part of CAT. Some of the companies that are interested in being part of CAT. CAT hopes its appearance before the board today will be received as further confirmation of its commitment to the reuse and revitalization of EPCAL and its dedication to fulfilling its obligations under the purchase agreement in its partnership with the town of Riverhead. CAT is proud to have been designated as the qualified and eligible sponsor for the development of the available property at EPCAL and is excited by the tremendous assets that this property has to offer. The 2 runways to be utilized as accessory to the proposed development, the existing industrial core, the businesses located there, and the existing on-site recreational facilities that we look to enhance are all tremendous assets that attract companies and employees and people to the site. The existing railroad spur that provides the opportunity to develop a rail depot that will serve both the existing industrial park and the proposed CAT campus to receive materials and ship product by rail, and someday, hopefully in the not-too-distant future, allow employees and visitors to access the site by the Long Island Railroad main line rather than increasing traffic congestion in the region. CAT believes they have the experience, resources, and industry and business connections to attract new science and advanced technology enterprises to Riverhead. They're looking to attract research and development, prototype development, and manufacturing in the aerospace, aviation, transportation, energy, construction, and technology industries with academic and educational components. They're looking to produce high-paying, stable jobs, both during construction and in the future. We're talking about a generational project here. This project is going to take 15 to 20 years to build out. We understand. Our goal is to build 10 million square feet, and that's not going to happen in a year or 5 years or even
Well, I think
10
that's the
years.
same as when they did the study, you know, the impact statement for it was a 20-year
Yes.
build-out, but, you know, we do know in the development plan, it's $1 million in the first 5 years.
It is. Efforts to redevelop an advanced clean energy microgrid in line with the governor's proposal to produce 70% of the statewide electricity from renewable sources by 2030. We have companies here that are part of that clean energy vision for the renewed energy vision for New York State. Our goal is to design and to develop an on-site advanced clean energy microgrid and independently supply enough energy to meet the current baseload demand of the existing businesses and to satisfy all the power needed to serve the proposed CAT campus at EPCAL. We're looking to transform the economy on the East End and one day be recognized as the Silicon Valley of the East. I'm sure you've heard me say that before, but if you keep saying something, it becomes fact.
Well,
I
that's
keep
the
saying I want to
truth.
win the lotto, and that hasn't happened.
Keep
So,
saying it,
yeah.
keep saying it. But believe it, more
Yeah.
than say it, believe it. Live it. These are lofty goals, but big goals start with the first step. Efforts have been made and continue to be made to identify and attract innovative companies in the desired industries that we're looking to attract to CAT and that the town wants to have at CAT, who share our vision. As your development partner, we believe that we can achieve such great things together. We want and need the town to support our efforts, and we are confident, given the opportunity and the time necessary to complete our obligations under the contract, that we can attract complementary companies that are consistent with our shared vision for EPCAL. And the site will be developed as proposed so that those lofty goals can be achieved. Let's talk about Illuminati Preston, because I know that's always asked about. The town's recent action to terminate Illuminati's runway use agreement was unexpected by CAT, but consistent with the board's prior request that Illuminati and Preston's role in CAT and the proposed development of EPCAL be limited. This recent action taken by the town reduced Illuminati and Daniel Preston's current rights at EPCAL, but not Illuminati's and Daniel Preston's current and future role in CAT.
They were a separate agreement. The runway use agreement was not part of this contract and was not connected to it.
We understand that.
Okay.
But in our CAT documents, Illuminati's assets in the runway use, the rights to the runway, were being turned over to CAT. So what you have now done is separated that from what we have planned going forward. So it is impacting us, although we will be taking ownership, title to the two runways.
Right, and that's in the contract.
Yes.
And there were also things in the runway use agreement that were expected of him that were not done.
Well, it does say, if you read it carefully, it talks about him suspending business at the property other than temporarily. And Daniel Preston and 555, the two members of CAT, have been speaking, and he has no intention of permanent discontinuances of his presence.
I'm
at
talking
EPCAL.
about the repair and maintenance of the runway, and I'm talking about having a business there that this runway is used as accessory to his business, which no longer exists.
Temporarily.
Temporarily.
It was 30 days in the contract.
And the contract says if it's other than temporarily, you have the right to terminate on those grounds. Our
It was 30
belief-
days, it was 30 days.
No, I don't believe it has any restriction on time.
Okay, we'll check.
Okay. Illuminati and Daniel Preston remain as a silent, non-voting member of CAT with a very defined role to attract other entrepreneurs and aviation technology type businesses to the CAT campus. Illuminati Preston remain an important member of CAT and is committed to serve their defined role in the project. Illuminati and Daniel Preston will still be an intellectual resource and an entrepreneurial presence during planning and development of the CAT campus. But their presence will be one of the many other innovative companies that will be involved in the project. It is an innovative entrepreneurial spirit that will characterize the CAT campus. Launcher is an aerospace company that identified a need and began to design, build, and test an improved variation of an existing product to meet an industry demand. Max Holt, an experienced innovator and entrepreneur, is the founder and CEO of Launcher. Satellites in space have shrunk from the size of a bus to the size of a shoebox. The race has begun to build smaller and lower cost rockets to launch these smaller satellites into orbit. Launcher is developing the world's most efficient rocket to deliver small satellites into space. That work begins by developing the highest performance engine for small rockets to allow Launcher to deliver more satellite cargo per rocket, lowering the expense to access space, increasing the availability, and decreasing the cost of satellite connectivity on Earth. Max has surrounded himself with experienced innovators and engineers who are currently designing and testing high-performance rockets at a reduced scale with a goal to be in commercial production by 2022 and commercial operation by 2026, or have you?
Flying by 2026.
Flying by 2026. Hopes to do this at Calverton. Max was drawn to EPCAL by the runways and was directed to Illuminati by the town. Launcher entered into an agreement with Illuminati to conduct its testing at Calverton. The recent license agreement with the town allows the testing to continue. The plan has always been for Launcher to continue testing as part of the CAT development and for Launcher's production to occur at the Calverton campus. Max is here. Do you want to?
Yeah, so firstly, I'd like to thank the board and the member of the CDA as well for making it possible for us to continue to operate in Riverhead at EPCAL. It's been an incredible support that we've seen for us and our investors to continue to develop. So thank you very much, board members. As you know, our interest to be at EPCAL came from the unique property. That's how we discovered Riverhead about 2 years ago. And our ultimate goal is to basically develop our manufacturing base and our permanent test site here as we grow and succeed. I think one of the key aspects of Launcher that we've established a relationship 2 years now with the town has been transparency and realistic expectations. So we remain a fully operating small startup, and we hope that if we succeed with our timeline, we will be flying the first test flight in 2024, by which time our company will be about 200 people. So far we've successfully developed the subscale engine, and thanks for your help and support in Riverhead, being able to test it successfully. And are now moving to develop and test the next full-scale engine. Also recently, in addition to obviously ongoing funding from private source as an entrepreneur that we've been able to secure, we were awarded a small business grant by the Air Force successfully in July. And we are competing now for a larger grant that we will hopefully win, maybe not, but by the end of this year. I'm sure you know that one of the largest customers for sending satellite to orbit is the Department of Defense and NASA and the Air Force. And also historically, I guess many of the successful Long Island aerospace companies have leveraged that connection, and so we're excited to start this piece. So that's the update, and we'd like to thank you. In terms of CAT, obviously our interest is to see the EPCAL property compatible with testing and manufacturing of rocket engine. We are not, buyers of this type of land, and so, we've been in relationship with CAT and 555 for a while, especially through our relationship with Illuminati, where we were subleasing, and we'd be excited to be a leasee, a tenant of both manufacturing space and testing facilities here. Shall this transaction close as we hope.
Thank you, Max.
Max, can you, I've seen you on several of the aerospace industry websites where you've been interviewed and where they've come and they're fascinated by what you're doing and what you're creating. Can you just give us the name of some of those television broadcasting in the aerospace industry that have come out and interviewed you at the site so that the public can access it and take a look at what you're doing?
Yeah, I can send you links. There's many of them, both in the internet space, from or even CNBC, The Verge, and many others. I can't recall right now on the internet space that is covering aerospace. And then we've had many industry publication in 3D printing and aviation, and I can send you a list.
That would be fantastic. I would really like to get that up on our
web.
website so that the public could see exactly what you're doing. It's amazing, and we're so happy that you're here.
Thank you very much. And we heard during the resolution, we were watching the stream here, so thank you obviously for the positive vote and for the kind words.
Still, you need your permits, though.
Of course.
Any other questions for Max?
No, Max, so Max, what do you, as you build out, what do you see your relationship as space? A shared space or as leasing, how do you see the company growing?
So the,
'Cause I know you're in Brooklyn also, right?
yeah, so the design currently is in Brooklyn, and the intention is, if you think about the company, before we can fly, we need to reach 200 employees at least. To give you a benchmark, the leader in the large rocket business is SpaceX. They have 6,000 employees. The only operating small rocket, because we're building a small
Right.
rocket, is a company called Rocket Lab, the only other private company to reach space, and they have about 500 employees. In our plan, at about 200 employees, we believe we can design, manufacture, and launch about 12 rockets a year. And so that kind of gives you the spectrum of, as we succeed, the minimum size, and then obviously as you grow over multiple decades, the sky is the limit, or not as such.
And your intention is to move everything and locate as your headquarters at?
Not decided at this point. So the intention would be design engineers, no hardware production and so on in Brooklyn, and production, which will be the lion's share of the employee base in Riverhead at EPCAL. So back to your question, we would hope to be able to run aviation ready, warehouse type space for production, with crane from CAT. We don't yet know the exact plan and building specification or price. And then separately to lease raw land where we can build a more permanent test site as we get there, hopefully with obviously the town support for this activity.
And launch, you're anticipating launch from,
No, so
not
that's
here,
something
right?
actually
Yeah.
I want to really clarify for the record. You to launch rockets, especially orbital rocket, it can only be done from FAA approved range that also happen to be on the ocean for safety reason. You can never fly this rocket over habitations. Right now on the East Coast, it's Kennedy Space Center and the Air Force Base that's related there. Also another place is Wallops in the DC area, Wallops Island. And there's a discussion in Virginia, in Georgia, I think there's a range there. But so our intention, our primary target is Kennedy Space Center, but likely it will be a spaceport on the East Coast. The rockets they are liquid rockets, so that means that when they are not on the pad fueled, they are inert, just piece of metal, as opposed to solid rocket where you're dealing with explosive being put together at the manufacturing site. And these liquid rockets using green propellant, liquid oxygen, and standard kerosene that you find at the petrol station, and liquid oxygen at any hospital or medical facility, will then be shipped in a standard truck, inert with no propellant in it, to the launch site.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't mean to state that they were gonna launch the rockets.
No, I had known that, but I just wanted to clarify that, because that certainly would be
I didn't wanna give that impression.
a question, yeah, yeah.
No intention ever to launch
Right.
from Long Island.
Okay.
So Max, if I could follow up just for a second, you said you want to have your first test flight in 2024?
Mhm.
And how much space roughly do you think you would be occupying at the EPCAL site at that time when you're ready to do that flight?
A manufacturing facility for, initial plan, you're probably talking about 50,000 square feet, something like this. But we're very early days, right?
Sure.
Our belief is that we shouldn't be sitting here telling you that in 3 years we'll employ, X hundred people. Our belief is that, these the chance that one company will be the next SpaceX or something like that, you need 10, 20, maybe 100 of people like me, and not all will succeed, many will fail. We're one of them. We are entirely convinced that we will succeed and beat your expectation, but our approach is one that, it's still a startup. You need to raise money, you need to succeed and get there. So the specifics of the exact square footage, the rent that CAT wants to charge us,
we're
whether
not
it's
concerned
finished
with
office
that.
space, we don't know yet, so.
What is the, can you give us a rough idea as to what the total investment into your product is to date?
If you go by, to date,
Yes.
we have raised $3.7 million, and that's our investment. The goal to reach orbit, if you look at all the data, it took SpaceX about $200 million before they reached orbit. And even, to tell you how special it is, only 11 countries in the world, obviously the United States included, have reached orbit with their own rocket. So it's
How
very,
many?
very 11 out of the 200-ish countries around the world. In the private company, VC-funded companies, only two. It was SpaceX, the first, and then the second one is Rocket Lab, which is a future competitors of ours with a small rocket. Rocket Lab succeeded by raising about $150 million, but they reached orbit with probably $50 million left in the bank, so call it $100 million was the last effort. We believe that it might take as much as $100 million, and it could take as little as maybe $60 million to not only reach orbit with this flight, having a manufacturing base, and be commercial so that you don't need to keep raising capital. So it's certainly a long-term roadmap, as we've heard. For developing the engine, our goal is to build the highest performance, lowest cost engine ever built for this category. And we believe that that will be the winning move, because a more efficient engine means you can have more satellites, and that's your revenue, for the same rocket size and cost. And we believe we'll finish the development of our engine with a total $10 million invested in launcher. So we are 1/3 or a bit more of the way there. Funding source is my network of VCs and private investors, and maybe the Air Force. So we have a small grant from the Air Force, but we're talking about bigger things. And that's really what we focus on, get the engine proven and have the highest performance, lowest cost engine in the world for this category. Then the next phase, which would be more substantial fundraising to build a rocket and the facility.
Hey, can I just ask, just, choosing Riverhead and staying in Riverhead if the launch site is further south? What's the impetus to stay here?
So a lot of rocket companies, other than SpaceX, are kind of in the desert in Texas, in very remote areas. We believe, based on the political support, not just in the town, but also congressional, the history in aerospace of the region, Long Island, New York City, that it is a great place to build an aerospace company and a rocket company specifically. The talent is here, the talent wants to move here. Actually, many people were from aerospace, engineers, their parents were aerospace engineers. We get email maybe once a month. They moved to obviously graduate, and then they're working in LA, they're working in other places. They want to move back to Long Island. I mean, these are actual email, probably once a month we get. And so we think it's a real great advantage to be, right now the only rocket company, or as we reach orbit, on Long Island. That's the main reason. So everything is, the political climate, the talent, and New York City and Long Island are a great place to attract talent. That's the reason for why we're here.
Thank you.
So the small business grant that you received in July, that was from the Air Force?
Correct.
And what was that dollar amount, if you
Oh,
don't
that's
mind?
small. It's a SBIR phase 1. It is $50,000.
Okay.
And then the next one can range from $0 to $3 million, and then even more next year.
And when is that grant, when are they supposed to make a decision on that competitive grant?
Before the end of November.
Okay, great.
We'll see.
And that's from the Air Force also?
That's from the Air Force. It's this continuation. The phase 1 is a way to get in, and then you're eligible for phase 2. It's actually the Air Force is doing something called Air Force Space Pitch Day on November 6th, where they're deploying $50 million on the spot, like Shark Tank, to really innovate on their procurement process. And we're part of that.
Part of their space.
Trying to be invited and then trying to win it, and we'll see. I mean, you can see we've been around for 2 years. We're operational. You can see it online. We obviously have other source of funding, but this would be a great one, especially given the history here as well.
And the contracts to follow.
Yes.
Thank you.
So as you can see, Launcher has that innovative entrepreneurial spirit that will characterize the CAT campus. Transportation, we're going to switch over to transportation. That makes up a substantial portion of emissions in New York State. The efforts to reduce emissions has led to more investment of public funds in incentives for mass transit and the infrastructure for electrification of our transportation system, and private investment will follow. Unique Electric Solutions, or UES, is focused upon electrification of vehicular propulsion in commercial transportation. Buses, refrigerated and delivery trucks, walk-in vans, and service vehicles. Joe Ambrosio is the president and CEO of UES with 25 years in the electric and hybrid electric vehicle business. UES retrofits existing commercial vehicles with all-electric new chassis systems, energy storage systems, power electronics, and controls that dramatically reduce a company's total cost of ownership by achieving best-in-class operational efficiencies within commercial timeframes and budget. UES can repower almost any commercial vehicle to drive and perform its function using electric power with an innovative team that relentlessly pursues efficiency and simplicity. Electric-powered vehicles are the future, and it's UES's mission to make the transition as clean, efficient, and non-disruptive as possible. Under a NYSERDA-funded pilot project, UES has a current contract to design and convert a number of UPS package delivery vehicles. You might have seen one outside. Converting those vehicles from diesel to electric as part of Governor Cuomo's clean energy goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030. A production version of the truck conversion kit will follow, with the goal of converting 66% of the UPS fleet in New York City by 2022. Very short time frame. A lot of manufacturing will have to be done to meet that goal. That work can be done in the CAT campus at Calverton. So Joe Ambrosio is here to tell us about it.
Well, good morning to the board, and thank you very much for the opportunity to address you. So it took a company from New York. As Chris mentioned, I've been in the business for a long time, and the electric vehicle business has been up and down. About 4 years ago, we got a phone call from a company in New Jersey, and they said, how much to convert a brown truck? And we said, who is this? And next thing you know, we ended up at the Department of Energy with UPS, and we took over a program that two other larger companies had failed at. It's sort of been a whirlwind ever since. Pretty interesting start to all this. A former Grumman test pilot, Carmine Nice, I met him in 2001, kind of changed the direction of my career and industry focus. He was a senior program manager there and had taken over the Grumman rehab on the flexible buses, and really introduced us to why electrification in the bus and truck market really was going to be growing. We're pretty rare in this area. It's just very interesting, I guess, based on academia and industry in terms of vehicle manufacturing and battery technology. There really just aren't that many companies like us. So we've enjoyed a lot of attention, from the state and NYSERDA, which has been great. The brown truck outside, which Chris mentioned, has been a daily service since Thanksgiving. Really excited about that. Really no issues whatsoever. It's a very simple vehicle at the end of the day based on what we do. And right now it's back for a battery change. So while other companies are making a lot of press about what they're going to do, the small little company from Long Island is out delivering packages. So we're really excited about that. We also want to.
Could you deliver yourself a battery?
Yeah, exactly. We want to recognize some of our collaborators in the area, Stony Brook University, and Advanced Energy Center, and of course our funding sponsors with NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. We currently have in hand contracts to repower 31 trucks with UPS, 15 for New York City, and then 16 for California. But our business model is that We build and manufacture the kit here, and then we ship it out. The vehicles in the tri-state area would be converting on our own, and then we're working with large companies that will take our kit and install them. And we're not looking to reinvent the wheel here. We want to work with companies that are in the business already, that are already servicing these large fleets. We'll ship them a kit and they install them. And just to give you a little detail about the market, yes, there's a lot of new companies getting in, but there's a lot of new vehicles on the road, right? And they're not going to go away. So it's really compelling, and the value proposition works to be able to take those existing vehicles, remove the diesel, and put the electric propulsion in now. And we offer a less expensive way to do that.
So it's all diesel?
Well, we take the diesel out and we make it 100%.
But it's all diesel vehicles?
Yeah, for the most part, exactly.
For now.
For now. We've attracted a good amount of outside investment, and we have letters of support from some school bus companies in the New York City area. The state has doubled down on the offsets, so I'll give you an example. A conversion costs around $150,000 right now, but you can get $125,000 from the state as an offset. So the value proposition is very good, and our long-term plan gets pricing down to a point where the product stands on its own.
And what year do you think that?
About 3 years from now.
3 years.
The location, transportation access, proximity to skilled labor, workforce, and the massive tri-state installed base fleet here is perfect for us. So it's a great location for us to be in. We've got discussions going with some of the companies here and some of the companies even at EPCAL now about electrifying some of the products and vehicles that are in existence today. The planned CAT development is exactly what we need in terms of the ecosystem facility. We do really well in a closed campus operation because we need a lot of space, because we have large vehicles. CAT could be perfect for us, so we're very excited about it. So we're enthusiastic. We encourage the board to seriously consider moving forward with the project, and we certainly would be proud to be part of it.
Any questions for Joe?
Yeah, just a couple questions. So how long, you've been around for a couple of years, or?
Yeah, Unique Electric Solutions was formed in 2015. I've
2015.
personally been in the business out of school. I went to New York Institute of Technology, and I've been in alternative fuels since I came to school.
So how many employees do you have?
Right now, we have 10 employees.
10 employees. And how do you see yourself growing here with CAT?
We need a home. That's really what it comes down to. We need a home, we need a facility. We plan to grow to about 50,000 square feet. We need a facility about 50,000 square feet. And like some of the discussions, it's based on our product sort of hitting the road and growing staff. And what's really exciting about it is that we've got a great feedstock with universities. We take advantage of the intern programs in a big way. And other universities now, even from the city, are jumping on board and trying to find ways to get us engineers. Because it's hard to import them. Not a lot of people want to come to Long Island, cost of living and whatnot.
Not yet.
Not yet. But we want the people that are here to stay here. And frankly, students are really excited. I mean, you can talk to any one of my employees, and the first thing that they'll tell you is that, wow, we don't have to go to Detroit to work in the automotive industry. So that's a really big draw for us.
What kind of number are you looking at in the future for number of employees?
About 100. Our model is distributed because we build a kit and then we send it to somebody. The manufacturing, has sort of hits a certain critical mass, and then we're also working with an original vehicle equipment manufacturer that will take our kit, so you can buy a brand new vehicle with our system in it.
Wow.
So we leverage a lot of other labor.
And you have NYSERDA has a 3-year, have they approved this for 3 years out to supplement?
Yes. The current voucher incentive program is $45 million. It was just recently opened up, and it's a 3-year program.
And you've secured that?
Yes. We were part of the old program, we're part of the new program, and then we're also currently funded. To date, we've received $3 million in grants between NYSERDA and the Department of Energy, and we have $5 million more between Department of Energy and some California programs.
Is that for design?
It's for design, and it's called Design for Manufacturing. So the truck out front is one of 3 hand-built prototypes. It went into service, but now we need to get the price down, and we've done that. So the next 12 vehicles will be built based on the new specification and production work we've done.
Wow.
And do you have support industries for your proponents for the manufacturing of this kit that may be interested in coming?
You know, it's actually quite interesting. So we work with companies from Europe and Asia, and the market here is really untapped. It's not growing as fast as other places in the world. So yes, as an example, we buy a battery pack from Asia that costs around, let's say, $50,000. We can cut that price in half by bringing the cells here to our facility and welding them, here on Long Island. And then that could open up other markets for us to sell to other vehicle companies. So they're asking us, are there opportunities to come here and
Fantastic.
manufacture here?
That's great.
So we believe, UES has the innovative and entrepreneurial spirit that will characterize the CAT campus. So we hope you'll agree with that. As you may have read, the development of offshore wind creates another tremendous economic opportunity for EPCAL. Governor Cuomo's recent announcement to promote an additional 1,696 megawatts of wind capacity off of Long Island, together with the 130 megawatt Ørsted South Fork project already moving ahead in partnership with LIPA and PSEG, means offshore opportunities to be seized upon by innovative companies and communities who are ready to meet the demands related to the multi-billion-dollar private investment that is being made just off the shores of Long Island. ULC Robotics, ULC, is an international robotics technology developer with its USA corporate headquarters in the Hauppauge Industrial Park. ULC provides robotic field inspection services to the utility and energy industries throughout the Northeast United States and United Kingdom. Gregory Penza is the president and CEO of ULC Robotics, a company he founded in 2001 that now has 127 employees, 26 patents, and 30 active patent applications. In 2018, Greg Penza was named one of the top 25 newsmakers by Engineering News Record. ULC is a research and development company that is revolutionizing the way utility, energy, and industrial companies inspect and maintain their infrastructure through research, development, and commercial deployment of innovative solutions. ULC operates under 4 divisions capable of performing a wide range of specialized services to accommodate the industries they serve. Their divisions are research and development, pipeline robotics, energy services, and aerial services. ULC Research and Development Division takes its innovative ideas from concept to prototype to field testing and into commercialization. These commercialized solutions are then deployed by one of ULC's divisions. ULC Robotics was named one of the top 50 most influential companies in the global robotics business in 2019 by Robotics Business Review. And Greg's here. He has a presentation, so I don't know if we want to turn the lights down a little bit so we can see the screen.
They just cut the robotics class at Riverhead High School, which is disappointing, so.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
Maybe we can get that going again.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could help there.
that would be great.
To create a robotic lab out at the CAT campus.
Fantastic.
So I'd like to thank the board. We're very grateful to be here today, and we're hoping that CAT can become part of our future and that we can become part of CAT's future as well. So if you'd like, I'll just take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about our company. ULC Robotics has been in business for about 18 years. We employ about 127 people, both here and in the UK. About half of those folks are engineers that are located in our Hauppauge office. And these are electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, software scientists, sensor scientists, project managers, and support staff. We have a complete machine shop and electronic shop where we manufacture all of our products, all of our robots that we provide services with, both here and in the UK, in our Hauppauge office. We own a 20,000 square foot building in Hauppauge that we've owned for the last 16 years. We're negotiating to purchase another building in the park, about 12,000 square feet. We're hoping to have that deal closed by the end of the week this week. We do research and development for the energy industry, utility industry, and industrial companies around robotics development, robotics as a service, artificial intelligence and machine learning, unmanned aerial systems, which we'll be talking with you about today, and industrial inspection and equipment development. Go ahead, Mike. Some of our customers, some will be familiar to you guys, PSE&G, Long Island, PSE&G, New Jersey, National Grid, Con Edison, ABB, over in the UK, companies like Cadent, organizations like Transport for London, and many other large utility companies, energy companies, and industrial companies in the US and in the UK. Go ahead, Mike. These are some of the robotics and technology products that we develop. In the upper right-hand corner, we're developing a robotic roadworks and excavation system. This is with $10 million in funding from the UK government. What we're looking to do here is replace the backbreaking work that workmen and laborers do around utility excavations and utility work in the street. This is a fully autonomous robot. It weighs about 14 tons. It's designed to be able to cut the street, excavate the street robotically with supersonic compressed air, vacuum the earth out of the street. It's essentially a backhoe elimination device that we're equipping with computer vision, machine learning, artificial intelligence to be able to really do the very difficult jobs that lots of people do. We're going to take those people, we're going to retrain them to be robot operators instead of jackhammer operators. This project is ongoing. We expect to complete it in 2021. After 2021, we'll begin manufacturing this equipment, perhaps here at CAT, and we'll be deploying that equipment at first in the London and New York City markets. On the right-hand side, the large picture you see, on the left-hand side, that's our SysBot robot. SysBot repairs natural gas mains while the gas is still maintained to the customers, and it enters the pipe through very small excavations in the street. So what we're able to do is renew old cast iron gas mains throughout America and the UK so that they don't have to be removed and replaced. We work through a very, very small 6-foot by 6-foot pit in the street. We can enter the pipelines while the gas is still on. We can seal all the joints within about a 1,500-foot range at a greatly reduced cost and a greatly reduced disruption to the public. So generally speaking, everything we do in the energy and utility industries reduces public disruption, reduces the impact on the environment, and reduces costs for ratepayers. We have 14 SysBot units and SysBot crews throughout America and the UK. By the end of 2019, we'll have 17 of those units running in the US and the UK. On the lower right-hand corner, that's another pipeline robot that we built for the UK market. It's called Cirrus. And we even build instruments. What you see there is an automated integrity test device. And that's to ensure that gas piping inside homes and buildings is gas tight and safe to be used in those environments. Go ahead, Mike.
Do you have patents on these?
We do. We have about 26 or 27 patents now, and I believe we have around 30 applications. With respect to patents and IP, essentially what we do is we partner with governments and with utility companies, wherein they'll provide us the funding to develop the technology that they need to solve their problems. We'll retain the IP, or most of the IP and commercialization rights. We pay a royalty back to the funding companies or government organizations that pay us to develop the equipment. And then we deploy that equipment for them. So if it's a product like the integrity test device, we'll sell that back to them. If it's a service like SysBot or our robotic roadworks and excavation system, we'll be the contractor to perform those services. So the range of people that we employ at ULC Robotics, again, we're entrepreneurs, we're engineers. We have a great marketing team, great business development folks, great support staff. High-paying engineering jobs is what we create here on Long Island and in the UK. And even the folks that work out in the field running our robots, these are mostly folks that have been in other kinds of construction industry activities that we've taken and trained to be robot operators.
That's fantastic.
All, thank you very much. All very high-paying jobs. Go ahead.
So
Mike.
you're not getting pushback from the unions?
Because what we do, in my prior career, I've been a member of the Operating Engineers Union.
Me too.
Have you been?
I have my pin on today.
Very nice. I've been a member, I started at the local 138 in
That's where I am.
1984. Great group of people.
Yep.
Because I was in the heavy construction business before I started ULC. The work that we do here is so unique, and it requires very, very specialized training. So currently, we're not working with union folks yet. Down the road, there's always a potential for that.
But I'm happy to know that you're a past member, so you appreciate what the unions do.
Absolutely,
Good.
absolutely, of course. The reason why we're here today is because CAT is really such a special place for us. You guys have just a fantastic piece of land there, and beautiful runways, which are very rare, in just a really great place for us to be able to develop our aerial services businesses. So what we do around aerial services is we manufacture our own multi-rotor, these are the helicopters that you see, and we manufacture and develop our own VTOL aircraft. A VTOL aircraft is an aircraft that can take off vertically and land vertically like a helicopter, but it can also fly like an airplane. This is some of the work that we're doing out on the Block Island Wind Farm. We go out with Ørsted and Keystone, and we inspect their monopile foundations using the multi-rotor aircraft that we build here in Hauppauge. This is our team flying out recently to do an inspection of the foundations. So we fly our aircraft currently from boats, from crew vehicles. Then we inspect all these welds and connection points on the structures, and then we apply machine learning models to be able to parse out the various components of the support structures. And in the future, we'll be using those. This is an example of the machine learning model, identifying all of the critical connection points. In the future, we'll be using machine learning to inspect these points as well. Go ahead, Mike.
So how do you check the weld?
Well, what we do is we build a machine learning model, and then we teach that model what does a good weld look like versus what does a bad weld look like. And we do that by providing the model with thousands and thousands of photos of good welds and bad welds. The model is self-sustaining, meaning the more information we give it, the smarter it gets. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but around every one of those boxes, there's a number that's close to 100%. That's the model telling us its view of its accuracy. And generally, we're in the 90 to 100% accuracy.
Interesting.
And this is a photograph of the VTOL aircraft that we want to fly at CAT. This is our second generation aircraft. We're building this currently in Hauppauge. We want to build it at CAT. This aircraft now is a hybrid electric vehicle. The vertical and horizontal, the vertical takeoff and landing component is electric, and the pusher motor is gas hybrid. The aircraft can fly persistently for 5 to 7 hours. It's got a top speed of 55 miles an hour. It's got a 10-foot wingspan. It'll carry a payload of about 10 to 15 pounds. We're aiming this aircraft directly at the offshore wind industry. And what we'd like to be able to do is eliminate manned aircraft as part of the construction and maintenance of the wind farm. So we're making a 30-year commitment to be here on Long Island developing these aircraft, not only to reduce construction time, but also to perform maintenance on and inspection of the wind farms when they're built. So our concept is to fly our aircraft from the land directly out to the wind farms. So from shore points, we've secured, with the help of Suffolk County, we've secured space down at Smiths Point Park, where we've been flying missions out over the ocean, developing our methodology for flying over the ocean. So this aircraft will be used for two very important things. One is protected species observation. So one of the most critical parts of building these wind farms is protecting our marine mammals. And the way that's done now is by having lots and lots of people on boats with binoculars that set up an exclusion zone around the construction activity. those folks are looking for whales and dolphins so that the construction activity can be stopped if the whales or dolphins come into the exclusion zone. We believe that we can do this much better using our aircraft from a superior vantage point 400 or 500 feet above the construction operation, and then using machine learning to actually be able to identify the whales. So what you're seeing here is video of a whale with our machine learning algorithm identifying it as a whale. So what we'll be doing during construction is we'll be persistently flying our VTOL aircraft over each location where a turbine is going to be built. And we'll be looking for these whales, looking to protect them, make sure that our activities, the pile foundation driving, doesn't affect them. And we'll be able to do this from a superior vantage point and with a much quicker reaction time by flying over the construction sites.
What's the noise level on this aircraft?
Very, very, very quiet. Mike, can you speak to the decibel level of the aircraft?
I don't have the I don't have the decibel level off the top of my head, but we typically fly around 300 to 400 feet, and when they're directly flying overhead, you'll hear the sound. But once they're more than a couple hundred feet away, maybe 200 feet away, you wouldn't even notice them. So they're it's a 3-pound engine. You could literally hold it in the palm of your hand. So they're very, very small engines, very, very efficient, and generate very, very little noise compared to a conventional aircraft.
So Mike, would you like to take over from here and just talk a little bit about our program?
Sure. So I'm just going to back up just a little bit.
These exclusion zones would be 24 hours?
They would, and that's exactly right. So right now, we, meaning the developers, can only drive piles during the day. So they can only make noise that will affect whales when whale watchers, when protected species observers can actually observe the whales. So they can't work at night, and they can't work in the fog. By flying our aircraft with thermal imaging sensors and high-resolution video cameras, we're going to be able to see at night and extend the construction time to 24 hours a day. What this is going to do is cut the overall construction schedule by about 40%.
Wow.
So this will get these boats out of our waters 40% faster than otherwise. So in order to do all this, we have a proposal before NYSERDA right now. We're seeking, this is about a $5 million project to develop this aircraft, the commercial level version of it, and then to deploy it on the wind farms. We'll need 28 pilots. These will be Long Islanders that we're going to hire and we're going to train. We'll need a staff of about another additional 25 people to support those 25, let's say 25 to 30 pilots. That group of about 50 will be required just to service the 9,000 megawatts that Governor Cuomo wants to build. So we're going to be creating, what we would be looking to do is test our aircraft out here. So we'd like a runway permit to be able to test our aircraft. We don't really need the runway, what we need is the space around it, because we can take off and land vertically. So we won't be using the runways, but you have such a beautiful 2,000 acres out here that we can fly safely over. And that's really what we're interested in the near term, is a runway use permit so we can test and fly our aircraft. And then we'd be looking for space out here, somewhere between 25 to 50,000 square feet, where we can manufacture this aircraft, train our pilots, and then deploy these aircraft on the upcoming offshore wind.
So you'll be training these 25 pilots on the site, or 28 pilots on the site?
Conceivably, sure. Yep, we could do pilot training here on the site. The site is certainly well suited for it. And then, of course, we'd also be doing additional training elsewhere. We have a current site that we fly in the Edgewood Preserve down in Comac, which is very close to our Hauppauge office. And we also do lots of flights off the southern coast of Long Island at Smith's Point. In fact, 2 nights ago, we were out there doing nighttime flights. We towed inflatable whales, inflatable creatures, whales and turtles.
You can call them whales if you want.
Thank you. That we filled with warm water. We towed these behind a boat, and then we flew our sensors at night using our multi-rotor aircraft to see how we could resolve them. Can we see them well enough at night for our machine learning algorithms to be able to identify the whales and dolphins? And the good news is yes, we can do really, really great imaging at night with using FLIR thermal imaging cameras. So yes, we'd like to be able to use CAT as training as well.
And the open space and the grasslands and the, I'm sure you've seen an aerial of the site, right?
Of course, sure.
That's desirable for your type of use.
Absolutely, we'd like to be able to fly over that.
Great,
Yep.
thank you.
So basically, you have your main headquarters in Hauppauge, is
That's
that?
right.
And that's where you'll stay. So this would be for the VTOL. This would be your VTOL project out at Calverton? Is that what you're looking?
That's right, and
Okay.
potentially more space. Our company is growing like mad. We'll do 37 million in sales this year. Next year, we're projected to do 50 million in sales. We expect to be doing 100 million in sales over the next 5 years. Our aviation business is just one component of what we're doing, but we need more space and more people to be able to grow to support our business here on Long Island. So we would start out at CAT, runway use permit, doing testing out here of our VTOL. The next step would be to acquire space out here to start manufacturing the VTOL. We're working with a team of ex-Grumman engineers who are helping us develop the commercial level aircraft. We're also working with the CPC, the Composite Prototyping Center, Lenny Poveromo, and Lenny and his people are going to teach our people how to do composite manufacturing, because we're going to manufacture this aircraft here on Long Island. We'd like to do it at CAT, and it's going to be made out of advanced composites. So these, the version 1 and version 2, which you're looking at now, these are hand-built aircraft built out of conventional materials. The commercial level aircraft will be all composites, and we'd like to do that work here at CAT.
I believe CPC was at the qualified and eligible hearing, is that correct? Where they gave us a letter of intent of what they wanted to do, where the design is taking place in Westbury now, I believe?
That's
And
true.
then they're
Yes.
going to be, they
I
were
think they're
looking for a
Plainview.
company like you in order to manufacture their designs.
Yes. That's another company we're still talking to. They weren't available to come today, but they're also not yet ready to make a commitment that they're going forward. And I will speak to that in a minute. These companies are ready to go,
Right,
okay?
So we could go on all day. Do you guys have any more
The
questions
pilots
about it?
are almost like flying a.
so you're looking for video game players.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because we do. What we're looking
That's all
for
I said.
are experienced hobbyists who fly aircraft now, who are drone hobby pilots, and who are great at video games. In fact, we use video games as part of our training.
I got a guy named
15-pound
Vince.
pilots.
It's gonna be a long
Just
line of
kidding.
applicants.
No shortage in labor there.
We're not using very small controllers like you see on a hobbyist aircraft. Our control systems are quite a bit more sophisticated than that, and of course, they're redundant. So our pilots are also currently all manned aircraft pilots as well. We don't know that we're gonna be able to maintain that in the future, because we're literally looking to take young people who are currently hobbyists flying drones every day and playing video games every day, and then to hire them and train them as certified pilots.
Wow.
Now, do they have to be licensed, the drones, to fly? How does that work?
Mike, you want to speak to that?
Sure. So in the United States, you do have to have a form of a license from the FAA in order to operate an unmanned aircraft commercially. So all of our pilots have this license. It's called a remote pilot certificate. So you essentially go to the FAA and take a knowledge test. And once you pass that knowledge test, you are then allowed to be a commercial operator in the United States. So it's actually a very, very low bar to entry in the U.S. And this is how our FAA has chosen to go with it. Every government in the country, in the world is different. So we go above and beyond that, because it's actually very easy to get this remote pilot certificate. So all of our pilots, we actually invest in them to get their manned aircraft certificates as well. So our goal, we have 3 pilots currently. They're all manned aircraft pilots, and they're all working towards what's called an instrument rating, which is essentially the rating you get as a pilot that allows you to operate, wait for it, without looking out the windows.
Right.
So just flying by the instruments. And when you think about unmanned aircraft, that's how our pilots need to be trained. That's the level of skill that they need, because someday they're not going to see the aircraft anymore. And that's our goal. We want to fly miles and miles and miles out over the ocean to provide services to our customers. And so hence, they all have licenses, and they're all working towards more advanced licenses as well.
So we'll be doing what's called BIVLOS, flying beyond visual line of sight. from the land out to the wind farms. The wind farms are going to be located anywhere from 15 to 100 miles offshore.
Who regulates the drones? Is it
It's our FAA, so the Federal Aviation Administration governs all air traffic. So we work very closely with them. Commercial UAS use in the United States is relatively new. It's been evolving, particularly over the past 5 to 10 years, but our FAA is responsible for regulating it.
But not your flight paths or anything like that, it's just the licensing that the FAA regulates?
It depends on what we want to do. So there are certain rules that we need to operate within, and if we want to go outside those rules, we need to get permission from the FAA. So essentially, everything we do is cleared by the FAA. And so, depending on what we want to do, how complex it is, sometimes we have to have direct conversations with them. Other times, we can just go out and do it because it's low risk and it's simple enough. But
And that's actually, and I was referring to the flight patterns, that's what I was asking.
So the way it normally works is we would determine what the flight patterns are, and that would be determined by essentially what we're trying to do, but also the environment. So as Greg mentioned before, our company is very, very in tune with working in the environment, acknowledging that the work we do is alongside the public. So when we plan our flight paths, we don't plan them in a vacuum. We plan them to accomplish our mission for our customer, but also take into account all of the different public concerns that may be associated with conducting those flights. So it's very, very routine for us, before we go out and do a mission, to go knock on doors, literally to knock on doors with our customers, to notify anybody in the public that may have any questions about the flight before it happens. Our customers do this as well. We work with a lot with utility and energy companies who are very used to doing this.
So for instance, we fly for PSEG down in Levittown, and we're flying through people's backyards because there's a circuit out and the poles and wires run through backyards. So before we're gonna fly over this neighborhood, the day before we go out and we put door hangers on all the doors, letting people know who we are, what we're doing, when we'll be doing it. Then that morning, we go and we knock on all the doors and make sure that all the residents know that we're gonna be flying. We'll be flying above their backyards. So this is the level of effort that we go through to make sure that the public is notified. With regard to flight path planning, currently we do that ourselves, as Mike said. But the FAA is working with technology developers to develop an unmanned traffic management system. So within the next couple of years, we expect to see this rolled out, where unmanned aircraft will be controlled in a very similar fashion to our manned aircraft now, where they will have, the unmanned aircraft will have sense and avoid features, and they will be governed by a mesh network of radar and sensors all talking to each other, so that traffic will be managed, not just out there.
Just to fill you in a little bit, the concern with this is that we have a huge issue here with the helicopters. And it's mismanagement by the FAA flying over our area here. And the community is very concerned about the height that they fly at, and the noise that they create, and the volume. So it's, when you talk about PSEG, you're just going and knocking on people's doors. That's one thing. You got a one flight over, the problem's fixed, and you're probably not back there for years. This sounds a little bit more concentrated than that,
Yes.
with a higher volume. So I think this, speaking about this in public, I think it raises a lot of concerns for people as far as noise level. How long the noise would going over a house, an acre house, how long the noise would last over there. And then also, if you're flying from the EPCAL property, I know you're talking about Smith's Point out to the wind farms, but I imagine you're testing over water from EPCAL out to the Sound.
No.
No, or no?
No, so just to be clear, so our intentions, our plans for using the EPCAL site is to do testing directly over the property. So we're not considering at all at this stage traversing outside the property line. So just to be crystal clear, it's the
It
open.
was my understanding you were flying from there then out to the waterways.
So when we begin to fly missions from the land to the wind farms, it'll be from shore points, not from EPCAL. We want to shorten the distance that we're going to fly over land. Any distance that we have to fly over land is kind of wasted fuel. So we're gonna fly from shore points. So, as I said, we actually have space down at Smiths Point Park, right on the beach. We're in a parking lot right on the beach.
That's why you're not in East Hampton, I'm sure.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Yeah, if you have to fly over land, you're gonna fly over the South Shore. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
so,
kidding.
well, the point is that we.
They're
we
flying
do-
over us.
We don't intend to fly from EPCAL out to the wind farms.
How big are these?
It's only 5
planes?
to 7 hour
I'm
flight.
sorry,
How
sir?
big are the planes?
The planes have a 10-foot wingspan.
And you're gonna come up with an
So,
electric
one of the
helicopter,
things that
right?
we aim to do is reduce or eliminate helicopter traffic and manned aircraft traffic. And if you guys would like to see our aircraft, we're happy to bring it out to EPCAL. We're happy to fly it for you. We're happy to have you, stand next to our pilots and see what it's all about, and to really hear how quiet it is, because
Yeah.
dramatically quieter than any helicopter or manned aircraft.
And I imagine that the utility repair that the unmanned aerial, or what, I know drone is a bad word in the industry, but the unmanned aerial is probably a lot smaller. So if you're talking about a 3-pound engine for the VTOL, then you're talking about a much smaller engine for these utility repairs, correct?
Yeah, there we're all electric. So our multi-rotors are all electric, so they're very, very quiet. Even our robotic roadworks excavator that we're building is all electric. So we moved to electric we'd love if everything could be electric, but unfortunately, we just don't have the power density and batteries to permit persistent flight.
You know, we just
Can
talked,
introduce
I
you to
just-
somebody.
Well,
I
we're-
just-
They've already been.
I just talked to him about the electric helicopter, so that's coming, right? The electric helicopter, he says yes.
We look forward to working with Joe as much as we can.
You guys need lunch?
So, Fred, when you launch
And-
these vehicles, or these craft from the coastal locations, you transport them there from Hop Hog or from Calverton?
Correct.
Okay, that's by
Yes,
what,
sir.
like
They
some
get
kind
taken
of
apart.
truck or?
Vans, because they come apart.
Yeah.
So they're reassembled on site right before the launch?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm excited with all this talk about the FAA, because I gave a presentation to the FAA back in 2012, trying to get them to relocate the TRACON facility here.
Wow.
And discussing the Crystal Palace, and they were very, very impressed. It was, actually down to the wire before the funding got pulled. But, they're looking at a $20 million, or near $100 million expense in the repair and removal of asbestos in the Westbury facility. And a decision has to be made very shortly as to whether or not they are going to, do that, or what they're going to do. So I'm curious to see what the FAA is going to do about, consolidating some of their services. And I know the redundancy is needed, and we do have 3 police departments for security and every other thing. So I'm glad you're working closely with the FAA on your designs and your mission. I'm hoping they'll reconsider, and out of the several locations they were considering on the east end, I'm hoping that they're still considering EPCAL as one of the locations.
That'd be great.
And they
Good luck.
are.
I think that conversation is ongoing.
It's ongoing right now, I can tell you that
I know
conversation
it
is
is.
ongoing.
Thank you.
So hopefully you can see from Greg's excitement and passion that
Speak your
ULC
usual
Robotics has the innovative and entrepreneurial spirit that will characterize the CAT campus. Speaking of advanced composite materials, we have another company that is already committed to coming to Calverton that couldn't be here today. Cymax Technologies is a company founded by a team of advanced composite engineers and extensive experience in advanced innovative composite development, engineering validation, prototyping, and full-scale precision fabrication, and they're currently based on Long Island. Max Gross, who is the president of Cymax Technologies, has recently been awarded a Department of Defense contract, similar to the one that Max was speaking to, where he will be developing an integrated tooling system to fabricate and produce a full-size, durable, lightweight composite floor panel assembly for the Sikorsky CH-53K helicopter. Cymax's goal is to bring the new floor panel product to production by 2021, and he's looking for a location. And he's looking to bring that production to the CAT campus with 50 jobs in year 1 and 100 jobs in year 2.
They were also part of the Q&E.
They were part of the Q&E.
Max Gross, I think, spoke 15 times.
He is still, this news came to me yesterday, by the way, from Max Gross, so.
Good for him,
Yeah,
congratulations.
so
he got that.
they've been awarded initial 500,000 with, now they're in the queue on the same type of funding that Max was speaking to, and he's going to be going forward with the Department of Defense, probably seeking money out of that November 6th competition. that he's speaking to.
November 6th, that's the day.
Different one, that's a space one.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have
yeah,
many.
yeah. So Launcher, Unique Electric Solutions, ULC Robotics, and Cymax Technologies are 4 companies of the many companies that we have spoken with that are interested in expanding their businesses to the CAT campus. There are several other companies that have the same innovative entrepreneurial spirit to make their companies part of the redevelopment of this site that has such a tradition of innovation and a history of technological advancement and achievement. Now, as you can see, there's synergy between these companies. And these companies, once they come to the campus, I'm sure there'll be work that they can do together. And they'll be depending upon one another. And we think we can make that happen. The innovative entrepreneurial spirit that will thrive at the CAT campus is characterized by the process that these companies go to, where one evaluates a situation, identifies a need, makes innovative variations on a concept to meet the demand, designs a prototype, tests and enhances the product, commercializes the product, educates the end user on the benefits of the product, trains those who must know how to use the product, and then be able to teach others how to use the product. It is this process that breeds success in any field, and CAT Campus will be all about success. CAT will only seek to use the runways as permitted under existing zoning and as prescribed by our agreement as accessory to the proposed R&D manufacturing and educational uses at the CAT campus. But the runways are a key feature that make the campus attractive for the aerospace, aviation, transportation, energy, and related technology companies that will be coming. CAT will diligently work to leverage the innovative assets that exist on Long Island with the assets that EPCAL has to offer for maximum gain. Monetize Long Island's strong mix of science and innovation, technology, and manufacturing by partnering with local businesses and educational institutions that are developing the science and technology to meet the next challenges and create the manufacturing opportunities to bring that technology to market. There's currently a void, a disconnect between the developed science and technological solutions, and the ability to commercialize that science and technology. The science and technological solutions are being designed and developed on Long Island, and EPCAL can be the right place that connects the developed science and technology with the opportunity to manufacture the product and bring it to market. The CAT campus can offer that connection. The CAT campus at EPCAL is the right place at the right time. The companies we have presented to you today are choosing the CAT campus. They are expanding on Long Island to stay on Long Island, to create jobs for your families here on Long Island. Bottom line, the CAT campus will bring new high-paying jobs in aviation, aerospace, advanced energy, transportation, construction, innovative technology, and science to the east end of Long Island. This type of transformative development will come to CAT. The time has come, and in a generation, EPCAL can become the Silicon Valley of the East End.
This is your second time here.
Yes.
Again, no mention of the casino?
No, no mention of a
Okay,
casino.
just making sure.
How about a mega mall?
It's still out there.
I wish
No
I was-
mega mall.
I wish I was 20 years old again.
So Cymax, when they originally
Great.
came in, they're looking
Next
for,
generation.
for about,
Thanks, Tim.
what, 25,000 square feet? What was Cymax?
Well, they're looking now, they just got awarded this contract, and they're looking to take this award and reach it to the next level award. So they're talking about doing 60 floor panels in year one, and then year two, they're hoping to be awarded another 120 floor panels.
Right, but originally they were like 10,000 to 40,000 square feet, is that still?
Well,
the
they're looking
original?
more, they're talking 50 employees in year one.
But I
100
mean,
employees.
space-wise.
I don't know their space.
Okay, so I'll go, that was their
And
original.
remember where we are in the process.
I'm just
Yeah,
asking questions.
Gotta have a building to move into.
we haven't even, we don't.
Got property to
Listen,
own.
and
You know.
can I stress something to you? The town needs to have its subdivision approved first.
I
The town
know.
needs all the approvals, and I'm not putting this on you, I'm leading to somewhere with this. And Frank can maybe attest to this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have to be careful with what we are proposing so that we don't negatively impact your process.
I'm well
to-
aware of that.
To obtain subdivision approval. We have stopped all contact at this point until you have subdivision approval, so that your approval can come first, and then we are willing to take the risk. We're willing to close once you bring sewer and water to the edges of the property, we're willing to close and take all the risk of presenting site plans and habitat protection plans and development plans to DEC for approval.
Well, that's what's in the contract also.
We know
So
that.
it's not a risk, that was part of the contract, that's what it's stated in
It's
the
been a
contract.
risk since the beginning.
But I'm
It's an-
just.
It's an agreed
but-
upon risk.
But it sounds like it's something, you're saying something different than what's
No.
written in the contract, that's
I'm
what's written in the
reiterating.
contract.
Let me
Okay,
start again.
Thank you.
I'm reiterating where we are in the process.
Okay, all right.
We cannot bring any plans to the DEC at this point.
Correct.
And I want everybody to understand that. But our plan is to be in full compliance with the finding statement that was adopted by the town in the FGEIS. We're gonna conform to the finding statement, and we're going to respect the property, and we're looking to develop in a very limited area on the property that will fully respect the grassland habitats, the woodland, the contiguous woodlands, and we're not looking to do anything that will threaten them.
And I have to share with you, because I know you were here last night on another project, but I think you were here when the community was speaking. And I would just like to present this to you again. I think one of the biggest concerns from the community is that 1,000 acres that was not originally in what was projected in the sale when this first whole thing started. And I think that, I think you should be aware. I think they filled out a petition yesterday, I can get you that. I think they were online for a couple hours. They had over 800 signatures that they wanted that 1,000 acres to not be developed. So I don't want you to be blindsided with the fact that the community has been very, very vocal about the amount of acres that has the potential to be developed without being coveted.
No, I understand.
So,
And it will be covenanted, but we're not going to go for that covenant until after you get your subdivision approved.
I'm just sharing the information
And I'm ready to
with
go
you.
through it again. I mean, I presented the ecological benefits of the CAP campus proposal the last time I was here. I brought my sheet again today. I don't think it's necessary for me to go over it again.
No, I think we had given you some other questions. I think maybe if we could answer some of
I
these
really-
questions.
I have
If
people
these
that have
guys
to
don't
leave.
wanna stay, that's fine. I think these questions are for you.
I can answer them in writing if you'd like. Might be better, more effective to answer the written questions in writing than
Well,
give
I
you
think
some
we
kind
had
of oral
given,
presentation.
we had given these to you as a template to answer for us today.
Well, I thought it'd be better to bring you the companies that are looking to come in.
I-
I think they've provided many of the answers to the questions.
Well, I can ask the questions. If you don't wanna answer them, you don't have to answer them.
Some of them, some
Can
Can you
questions.
Most of them
can I
you've
ask you-
answered,
Can I ask
some
you
were
to please
not.
forward me those questions
We
in
did.
writing?
We did
I
forward
know,
them
and I
to
got the
you
letter, and I
on-
really think, if you listened to our presentation and get the information that I brought forward today, answered many of the questions you asked.
Well, for instance, one of the question was about the investment in the runway, and I think that pertains to these gentlemen here, that you have the investment of $1 million in the runway, and then are these plans in place, no contractually required, where are you on with the runway? Because it was $1 million which was the guarantee, in the contract,
Right.
and, you guys had said that you were gonna come up with plans as to how that would, move forward, so I'm would like an update of where you are in the stage of looking at the runway. I think last time.
Well, we have hired, let me just talk about a little bit about tenants and job creation. I skipped over that because I didn't think it was that necessary to go through it.
If I
But-
could just go back to the open space and the grasslands and the woodlands, because when we were sitting here and we were discussing the contract, when it was just Illuminati, and there was no 555 partnership or anything else, and it was discussed that we were just gonna sell him the 600 acres and the runways. And Jim, you sat in on those meetings, and it was discussed that he needed the open space as a buffer area in order to test these unmanned aerial vehicles, and there was no intention of development of that 1,000 acres. It was just, as you stated, you need open space around your technological development. So I think that's important, because I think that a lot of the public is concerned about, bulldozers going in and filling in wetlands and removing grasslands and, taking down trees and woodlands. And I just want to reiterate that the intention of selling him the entire piece of property was for a secure environment for their technological advancements and their innovative designs, and also for a buffer of their projects and what they were manufacturing and testing.
And that's correct. We'd have no plans to fill wetlands, to disrupt grassland habitat. In fact, we're looking to expand grassland habitat. So I don't know.
Well, you
if-
filed that already with the
We
senior
have,
habitat
well,
protection,
we,
habitat
we-
protection, more or
we
less?
withdrew it, because we didn't want to affect your ability to get your
I
subdivision
understand.
approved. So, let me speak a little bit to the professionals that CAT has retained to secure.
Just for the land, I think the community wonders why that land was thrown in. That's just.
Uh,
what I just
I
said.
can't answer that
For a
question.
buffer.
That would be a question to the old board.
I can't
Yes.
really,
And I
answer
d-
that. I wasn't part of the discussions of why that was
I
added.
know, I'm just stating that.
But to tell you the truth, if we're
Just
developing
answer.
10 million square feet under zoning, it'd probably be better for us to control all of the property, because we can cluster, the development and preserve the rest. So I think it's important for us to control that. The professionals that CAT has retained to secure the necessary approvals and construct the project are all Long Island companies. So
Wait
that
a
was
second.
something.
Can we go back though?
No, I'm
We
I'm
just-
actually answering the question that Laura just asked. me.
Yeah,
Well, I
the
asked about the
one.
runway one.
That's what, we
Right.
first asked about the runway.
Can I answer the question?
Yes, please.
Please,
Please do.
please let me
Continue.
answer the question. I mean, I'll try to answer all your questions all at the same time, okay? The professionals that CAT has retained to secure the necessary approvals and construct the project are all Long Island companies. In addition to Farrell Fritz, CAT has retained GEI Consultants from Huntington and VHB Engineering from Hopog as our environmental consultants. Alex Badalamenti at BLD Architecture, his office is in Patchogue, and he's doing the design of the construction. R&M Engineering in Huntington, Chris Robinson, is our site engineer, and he will be the one who will be determining improvements that need to be made to the runway. He's already on staff, and I've already had at least 5 or 6 meetings with him. Aurora Contractors will be doing the construction, and they are in Ronkonkoma. These are companies that I'm sure, if you are not aware of them, or if you haven't met them, or they're not, they should at least be known to you by name, because they are involved with most of the major projects on Long Island.
Can you email us this list?
Absolutely. The list of prospective tenants continues to include all the companies that were presented during the qualified and eligible hearings. The prospective tenants include aviation and aerospace ventures, composite material and manufacturing companies, research and development, telecommunications and technology companies, prototype designers and developers, manufacturers, aviation maintenance and repair, next generation transportation, advanced energy initiatives and educational institutions, and yes, even governmental, possible governmental, location of governmental services. Many of the interested companies and parties interested in being part of the reuse and revitalization of EPCAL have already visited the site and have made oral commitments to locate at Calverton. The specifics on negotiations with many of these companies are still preliminary and confidential until CAT closes on the property. So, I'm not gonna go through all this, you've heard this before, it's a lot of talk. I thought bringing the companies to the table
No, it
goes
was
a
very
lot beyond the
helpful.
talk and what I can say, but I can make this commitment to you. CAT is going to live up to all of its obligations under the contract. They're going to invest the $1 million within 2 years after closing, which is still 9 months away. So, I'm not sure what planning you want us to make. We have an engineer, a structural engineer, retained by CAT, who is already given the task of determining what improvements need to be made to the runway. We also have then thereafter, the 1 million square feet, which was one of the questions. We have 5 years from the date of approvals for site plan to develop the 1 million square feet. That's in the contract. We haven't even taken title yet. We haven't even made an application yet. We are doing that purposefully, not bringing any site plan proposals forward so that we don't get accused of developing it prior to the necessary approvals that the town needs to secure. So I can only commit to you in answer to all the questions, and I'm willing to respond to any additional questions in writing. I will respond to David's letter. I appreciated the letter, David. It did help me focus on my statement today. I can answer additional questions in writing. I really felt today was an important step, and important for the public and for the board, to bring some of the companies that are already looking to locate there, and would locate there in a very short time frame if we were ready to have them locate there. We're not ready yet, but we'd like to be ready so we don't miss some of the opportunities that these companies have to meet in 2021, 2022, 2024, 2026. As the time goes by, these goals, these dates for securing production keep getting closer. And as time keeps passing, we're gonna be missing opportunities. And I really, when I say that the time is now, CAT campus is the right place at the right time, there are so many opportunities right now in wind energy, in electrification conversion. If we don't seize upon it now, the dream that started in 1995, okay? I ran for supervisor of this town in 1995. I'm gonna get a little personal here for a minute. My whole campaign was based on two things. Taking title and redeveloping EPCAL and redeveloping our downtown. You can go back and read it if you haven't. But my whole mission statement of what could be happening at the town was based on EPCAL and downtown.
Well, so then, Chris, you could certainly understand my concern, because we're still not there, right? And so we wanna make sure we get this right, you know, more than 20 years later. So I think that the questions that we're asking are making sure, because you know, this town has been down this road many a time,
I do.
where people come in and they say they're going to do something, they say they have the finances to do that, we're all good, and when it comes to putting a shovel in the ground and closing on the deal, it hasn't worked.
This is
So,
different. Let me, can I explain the difference between this? Those were all single projects.
That's right.
All of them were single projects. We are not viewing this as a single project, and I think that's good, gets caught up here. Everybody seems to be talking like this. This is CAT, this is a single project. This is a collaboration. And it's my goal, my role, really.
But
I've been given this task. Meet, talk with these companies, get them to come to EPCAL, make it work, make these companies interrelate, have some type of shared vision.
I understand that,
Okay.
Chris, but we know that this is still a single project in that it's a single developer, right? And let's just look at it as if it's a mall, right? You know, 555 is very good at malls. They developed the mall as a single
It's not a mall, it's irrelevant.
No.
Let's go right,
Let me
keep it
finish,
to the
let me finish, it's
aviation.
the same,
This is ridiculous.
it's the same business model. They buy a piece of property,
Okay.
they develop the piece of property, and then they retain ownership of that property, and then invite people to come in and be part of that property and part of that project.
Right.
So it is still a single entity buying this project, so I just wanna be clear on that. And then you're getting people to come, as you do with marketing and developing for the malls, which 555 has expertise at. This is a very new field for 555 in their development. It's their same model that they do for malls, but it's a different group of people, aviation and technology, which is part of the development plan. So that's why there is this cautious, optimistic, but cautious concern that 555, because we know they've done this in other areas, they've not been successful at it. And so there is concern to make sure that you guys are wonderful, your companies are great, you are going into the space, but this can be carried through to the end point. So that's where the concern of the town comes in.
I understand the concern.
And financially also,
I
because we
understand the
do
concern.
know.
We sit before
Chris,
you
I
today.
let you finish,
Oh,
let me
yeah.
finish. And the other concern is financially, and that has been, the town has been burned many times with this financially. We know that 555, we've all read it in the news lately, that they have leveraged some of their other properties for their dream mall, which has just opened. They've also have a lot of money, a $5 billion deal going on down in Miami. We also know that they have some issues going on in China as well. So we are concerned about the financials. It's not saying that their financials were bad, but as a town, we still need to be able to see that this is a priority project and that they have the wherewithal to carry it out. And so it's just making sure that all the ducks are in a row to get this project to move forward. And I think the town is certainly within, you know, our scope as town board members to be able to ask those questions.
And you can.
So,
Well,
I
and
disagree with your analogy, but I agree with what you're going at, because you're absolutely correct. we do need the assurances financially that this is gonna be able to be pulled off. That's a
Okay.
big concern for us, for the town, absolutely. I've said it before, and we're repeating it again, it is an important factor for us.
Okay, so they went through 2 hearings, qualified and eligible sponsorship hearings. I'm sure they submitted a lot of documents that you all looked at that, that portrayed their financial condition and their ability to make this financial investment. I don't think we really need to go through that again. We have been determined qualified and eligible. I will be willing to try to secure more financial information about the company if you need that. But their goal, their objective is to move forward, to close. They are ready to close. As soon as certain things
We have to complete
occur.
the subdivision. We have to complete the
It's
subdivision,
on
and then
show the
there's a time
extension of
period.
the sewer and the water to the boundaries of the property.
Mhm.
And Chris, if I could just say, dealing with this for only 12 years, but we've never been where we are today.
Well, we have to take you the whole way.
We had the Ski Mountain debacle, which I didn't support. There was no subdivision. There was no boundaries. We expected a private person, John Nivens, to do that. That was never real. We've never been to a point where the town decided to invest their $750,000 and probably close to $1 million we spent between doing draft GISs and habitats and what's developable and what's not, and had all of these things mapped out. We've got 3 volumes, probably, and then the, of experts that have looked at this land. So we've never been where we are today, not even close to where we are today. To me, it's very encouraging, it's very positive. I'm glad I got a 15-year-old daughter, because she's gonna be at the ripe age to jump into some of this stuff. And she's very good with video games, so, be your first female pilot, but I
There's
disagree.
no quid pro quo
We
here.
have
No quid pro quo.
No,
Just putting
I'm
it on the
just-
record.
okay. I'm just saying, as a town, we've never been where we are today.
And I'm
That's-
gonna say for the financials, a lot has changed since then. Because we know that 555, we've read it in the paper, their financials have changed significantly since the qualified and eligible. If not, we would like to see that. And I think that's fair enough, and I think as part of the contract, updated financials are part of, part of
Five
that.
is a developer.
Coming.
The American Dream Mall has just been finished. So if you know how large developers work, they're on to their next project.
I do, and this
And
is
Calverton
small,
is their
some of
next
the stuff that
project.
they've done.
Well,
Okay.
I don't,
Chris,
Well,
one of
we
the things
need-
in the letter, which you haven't touched on, except in a very general way, is really a timeline, okay? You say we're gonna close in 9 months, so we're talking about.
We're gonna close when you're ready.
Yeah, I understand,
I'm-
but we
I'm
can't do that with
projecting
certainty,
your-
but let's
I'm
say it's
projecting your-
middle of next year.
Yeah.
I assume internally you have a timeline that says, we expect to be here in the middle, 6 months after closing, we expect to be here 18 months after closing, and so on. And I think the board would like to understand what that timeline is, and maybe they'll have a little
You
more.
want me to project off of when you?
Confidence,
Yeah.
and the optimism won't be as cautious.
Right.
I just want you to close.
Well, when I first got involved with this in February, we were having meetings that were like full steam ahead, site plans, building development. We put a stop on it. I have to tell you, we stopped, based on a few things that happened. One, the town thinking about breaking the contract, which is how we viewed it. Secondly, our efforts to try to move ahead were somewhat delayed or held off until the town finishes what they need to get approval for. And we said, and I pulled back and said, let's hold off on the process, let's get the town to subdivision. And I can tell you, as soon as you have subdivision approval, we'll be ready to close. We'll be doing site plan submissions, we'll be doing development plan presentations, but we're not gonna do those now.
I don't think we were asking development
No.
plan presentations
You're
at
talking a
all.
timeline.
Give me a timeline.
Right.
You
I can
expect.
I can measure it from your subdivision approval. So I don't know what the timeline is from now to extension of sewer and water to the property lines so that you can get your subdivision approval. Because you need DC, you need health department, you need to file the map with the county clerk. Those things are gonna take some time still, because I don't know where you are in the sewer extension and water extension.
Fine.
But you cannot sell lots in a subdivision without having brought the sewer and water to the.
Yeah, I think everyone understands that. I think that
So I
one of the
will measure it,
concerns-
I'll measure it from the date you
That's
tell
fine.
us you're ready to go forward, which is probably gonna be, and I'm measuring 6 months. Conservatively, I think it might be,
The whole thing is based on assumptions, so
Right.
let's make one assumption, you're gonna get subdivision approval, and you're gonna get sewer and water brought to the property, and figure that timeline, that's gonna be whenever it's gonna be.
Right.
Put a date on it,
Right.
no one's holding you to that, that's gonna be up to the town.
Right.
But what's gonna happen after that, and what's the timeline? I assume internally, people have thought about that.
Well,
Absolutely.
ULC Robotics said that they need to be manufacturing by 2021, so I think that's gonna be a goal, is to get them in the building by 2021 here.
yeah.
But I think the
That's
request
what I'm
that
trying to
I-
tell you, our timeline is based upon the demands, everything that's gonna be built there will be built to suit.
Chris, I think.
So, if he needs 50,000 square feet, and he needs 50,000 square feet, and he needs 50,000 square feet, and we have, Cymax 25, 50,000, let's just say, we have an immediate demand today for 200,000 square foot building. We will build a 200,000 square foot building. If they wanna be separate from UES, if ULC wants to be separate, if his needs might need to be
I don't
not-
think that's what we're asking for, Chris. I think what we're.
It is exactly what you're asking for.
No, no, David, you wanna reiterate what you're
It's
asking?
exactly what you're asking for. Timelines.
Chris, let's,
Let him finish.
It's in part, yes,
Yeah.
but I assume internally that people at your client have said, all right, by the end of 2021, we hope to be
Right.
here with the runway and here with X amount of square feet and
Absolutely.
Y amount of tenants and so on. And here's where because you talk about this as a 10, 15-year project. Well, fill in some of the blanks. Where do you think you're gonna be in 2023, in 2025? Where do you hope to be?
Right.
That's not specific to his needs on a building or his needs on a building. It's the overall campus that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
What's going on at the campus, January 1, 2023? What do you hope is gonna be going on? What do you hope to accomplish between now and then?
Will that partly be
And
market demand?
Give us those road
Just-
map, it's,
just
we
give us a
know.
wish list.
Yeah, so you have brokers that represent the town, and I'm sure they've spoken to you about industrial market demand, or the market demand for industrial space,
And we have brokers too.
and those are your brokers. And we're gonna be seeking those out. Some of these companies have come just because they're looking to be part of the CAT campus. When we get further out, and you're trying to build 10 million square feet, we're gonna have to reach out to, although nobody really wants to do that, but they'll be happy to hear, we'll have to reach out to brokers, okay?
And
Don't worry, you
another,
guys will
I
have
mean,
business, you guys will have business.
UES said that they need to convert 60% of the fleet of UPS by 2022.
Yeah,
So
That's
they
correct.
need manufacturing facilities in 2021.
correct.
I'm sure that as soon as we complete the subdivision, you're gonna go full speed ahead in trying to,
We're gonna submit development plans,
yes.
but we're not putting them out there now.
And I'm
We don't trust
encouraged,
to put anything out there into the public.
I'm encouraged by
I
the
will
fact
give a
that you're
timeline.
buying a 20,000 square
Let's
foot
start with
building in
that, and if
Hopog.
we
You
have
guys should
questions
talk
of
of
the
how
timeline,
involved you
we'll-
want us
we'll
to be in
follow
that
up with it.
timeline. Okay?
But I'm
Because I-
encouraged by the fact that you're looking to build a 20,000 square foot building on top of your 15,000 square foot building at the Hopog Industrial Park for expansion. And I'm hearing expansion from all the companies that you brought today. And I'm just disappointed that we don't have that 20,000 square feet for you to move into right here on our property today. But I'm very excited about your companies and about your expansions of your companies. I mean, you went from one container to now 10 containers. So, we're growing.
I-
And that's encouraging. I'm very excited about what you presented to us today.
And I'm not gonna, I realize we can't ask much of you until we get ready to sell.
Right.
So my question is to our attorney, how far along the process are we, and how long do you think it's gonna be before we're ready to get the subdivision?
Question, Jim.
We're working with the DEC right now on our subdivision application. We're projecting that to take probably 5 to 6 months. We're also simultaneously gonna be filing with the county health department for its approval, so that should be running concurrently. So we're hoping we're on track with the timeline we have. We can't control the DEC's handling of our submittals, and we're like any other applicant with respect to that stuff.
But I'm excited that you're working with NYSERDA and that all of these governmental agencies on the state level are anxious to have you get started. So I think that, I'm sure that communication is being had with the governor's office to say, we need to get this subdivision done. So I'm sure Frank would appreciate any help with that in trying to get the state to approve this subdivision in a timely fashion.
Just to go back to the questions a minute, we did touch on several of the questions today, especially when we pushed a little farther. But we did send you these questions, I don't know, a couple of months ago.
No, September
Month and a half.
12th.
Right.
I got
It's
it
been
by
a while.
5 weeks ago.
September 12th.
It's been a while, and certainly as someone who's been in public service, I think you understand that this is our job, to ask these questions and to protect the town. So if you could take another look at the questions and email us back some answers and perhaps some of the information that we could like some of the information that you gave us today.
Okay, again, I will do that. This is a public forum. We are very excited. These guys, as you could tell, you have excited companies in front of you.
I think we are too.
Then Chris,
We
please.
are excited, please, let me answer, I'm gonna answer the question. We are excited developer. We want the town to be excited. I will answer the questions in writing. I really, again, as a former government official, I really felt the goal to bring today, to be out on television, to be, the message to give to the public, is you have companies that are looking to make investment in the town at Calverton.
And I'm not negating that. I think having these guys here today was great. I enjoyed the presentations, and this, that was one of our questions, and we asked for that. We asked for people to come today. So with that, I'm pleased. I'm just asking for more.
Okay,
And-
and I think those kind of questions that you ask would be a better, I will submit them in writing.
And Chris and I have to reiterate, that you were given these questions, and this was part of one of the questions that we asked, but one of the questions was also, and I will refer back to David, was the timeline question. So will you please, we've asked for.
I will discuss it with both
I'm
your
happy to
attorneys.
discuss it with-
Yeah,
with
I
you,
will speak
Chris.
to both your attorneys about the timeline, because I really, having been a former government official, having been an attorney for well over 30 years, I am really recommending caution on us getting too far ahead of you.
Well, this is why
That's all I'm
we-
gonna say about that, because it
And
could.
that's fair enough.
Okay, please.
Okay.
I don't wanna, I'm giving caution, I'm stressing that, you can speak to your attorneys about why I'm saying that. Let's proceed cautiously on our development plans, getting ahead of your approvals. Okay?
Okay.
Madam Supervisor, is it possible for me to comment on this issue?
Sure.
I would like to hear from you.
Okay.
Just that we're on camera, you'll have to come up and take a seat.
Yeah.
Or you could go to.
Or go to the mic.
Who are
Yeah, you can
you?
go to the podium.
Who are you?
You just need to introduce yourself and your role.
Oh, how about
Sit
here?
down.
Yes.
Perfect.
On emergency.
David Panetta, Cushman & Wakefield. We're representing the town's interest in this transaction. So I have 32 years' experience in commercial real estate here on Long Island. I own properties involved in development and land sales. So we haven't compared notes to that particular question that you're answering on what their time frame is. But if you're, as an investor, which they are, a developer, if you're laying out $40 million, you don't want to finish this in 20 years, you'd rather finish this in 20 months. You get a better return on your investment, not carrying the 40 million for that period of time. From our experience, and we've discussed with the board that we were looking to see what companies, even when we were trying to attract, CAD or any of the other buyers, to have a list of companies coming out here. But as we were discussing, there's been a number of, false starts, and there's been a number of, over the past 20 years, where the companies out there are coming back to us and answering to us, and they're saying, look, we're very interested, the real estate market is very tight in western Long Island, but we don't want our name associated with something unless it happens. Call us when this thing closes. Because companies have employee issues. If someone's coming from Plainview, we're talking about that composite manufacturer.
CPC, yeah.
You know, they don't wanna have their employees start quitting because they're moving to Riverhead if it's not happening. If it's happening, then they move over as many as they can. But this process is taking a long time, and I know that, from a development standpoint and a planning standpoint, you can't just keep moving like every 6 months down.
And I'm gonna
down
say,
the
this
road.
process is not taking exorbitantly long for a sale this size of land in a town, in an urban renewal zone, this is not out of norm for a timeline for a project this big.
So,
I
from my
Please,
experience.
can I just interject for one
Well,
second?
let me
We're
just
not-
finish and I'll go
we're-
sit down. Let me
yeah, but
finish
we're
on-
not complaining about the time.
I know, but I just
We
wanted,
just-
it kinda sounds like there's things that are not being done, this is taking an
No,
exorbitant amount of,
I know how long it takes.
I'm
I
not
just wanna be
representing
clear.
them.
I
This
just
is-
wanna be clear.
This is companies that potentially we had looking to come here. And some of the companies have concluded transactions elsewhere. So the problem with the timeline and looking at the timeline is, I think they don't wanna represent something on record that in a year from now, you're gonna say, well, you said this and this. The market could change, there's a national election happening next November, there's a lot of different things that can come. There's a lot of demand for the property if it gets to the point of being able to move forward. So that's what I will say. I don't know what their plan is. They're, haven't shared anything with me, but I don't think that they're being catty and not being able to answer that and being cautious and not trying to put some timelines, down in front of us.
Well, I think that the two attorneys will talk. I think that if there's something that doesn't want to be stated in public, but I think there's an understanding that there's a timeline that can be generated.
Absolutely.
So I think that, we will see where that takes us.
We'll follow up with each other.
Yes.
Yes, we'll definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Do you
Dave.
do you have cards, gentlemen?
I don't need a card.
Not yours. I know
Poker
you.
cards, or what do we, you'll
Did
poker?
you get my landmarks that I sent to you?
Hey, it was only
I
about
can't
4
wait.
paragraphs.
I know.
And generally, they were happy.
I'm a little over 15
Thank
pounds.
you. I can give you one also.
Very exciting, very exciting. Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you very much.
I need my answers, that's all.
That what happens, I think,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna have my son send this resume.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Nice to see you.
We
Well,
go
I'll talk to
great
you.
pains to
I'm meeting
keep
young
the
men.
mix air and gas.
Okay,
So, but it's fully understood.
okay, okay.
Great to meet you, Aslan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, really nice to meet you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh,
Thank you
my
for the
pleasure.
support.
Thank you.
Great to
Thank you,
meet
sir.
as well.
Congratulations.
To the sport.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great. Too bad we can't launch it, I'd like to see something over to outer space.
Well, the people don't know, but actually launching a rocket to
Does
potential
anybody have
satellite
committee
orbit,
updates they want
it's
to go
not,
over?
the flight
Do
is
you
not
have
going
committee
to
updates
space,
you wanna go
it's
over?
going, speed is going to 30,000 miles
Larry,
an hour.
we can,
So it
we'll
goes
close
horizontal right
close the
away.
work session. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
It's nice to hear about your.
We can close the work session, we're not gonna do committee updates.
Okay.
But- And I'll just read, I know what.
Can't wait.
Thank you.
Can't wait. Well, if we decide to change all our highway departments over to electric, I think that's the original.
Can I just ask everybody if they could just move to the side for a second so we can close out our meeting? Can I have a first and second to go into executive session for pending litigation in the matter of the County of Suffolk and the County of Suffolk Controller versus Town of Babylon?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Third.
Aye.
So carried, thank you.
You want me to just talk to